Hello, welcome to my first Golfstar video. I'm going to make and put a few out there to gauge interest. There's very little exposure for Golfstar on YouTube from what I saw. If the demand's there, it could be my first of many, might be the only one. Let's see how it goes. So what is Golfstar? Golfstar is a golf game, as you might guess from the name, available on iOS and Android. Personally, I play on Android. So you might see little nuances that are different if you're an Apple player, but I think in essence the game is basically the same. In Golfstar you take the role of a character. You can kind of switch between male and female characters, which we'll look at shortly. You move through a single player career, leveling up, getting new items, getting new skills, clubs, club bags, covers, which again we'll look at in a bit. But it's really all geared up to preparing you to play online, which is really the main focus of the game. Why Golfstar? Well, I've always enjoyed golf games. I think in general golf fits really well with a computer game, just the format of the game and the way you can kind of build it into a computer format as opposed to certain other sports games. I've played Leaderboard on the old Commodore 64, Lynx on the PC, PGA Tour on Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, these sort of consoles, Tiger Woods. I've played Virtua Golf on the PlayStation. I've played quite a few, as you can guess. On balance, I think this is the best golf game I've played on any of those systems. I would admit I've not played many of the recent ones on the next generation consoles. Why is it different? Why is it better? What I like about it is the variety of factors that are going to influence your shot. So, for example, the ball's lie, it could be lying to the left, to the right, pointing up, pointing down. The elevation to the greens, the green might be above you, below you. Obviously the wind's going to affect it. Your impact on the ball, the quality of your shot, and where the ball lands. You know, is it landing on a slope? Is it going to bump off to the left, bump off to the right? All of that combines to make sure that no shot is going to be the same as the last one, even if you've played the course 100 times before. That's quite different from a lot of the golf games I've played. It's a free game. If you enjoy it and you want to get the most out of it, you're probably going to want to spend some money on it, as you might expect. It's always the way. If you want the best clubs, the best items, and the best chance of winning, you can be prepared to shell out some cash. What amount of cash is up to you. You can have fun with the game and you can play it as much as you want with quite a small outlay. Equally, I've heard tales of people spending thousands of pounds on the game. No names mentioned. Okay, so starting out, there's two characters. If you go into my info and change character, we can see the two of them. When I say two, you'll see a third there, Chloe. Now Chloe, as it says here, is unlockable with 795 stars. There's a couple of different currencies in the game. Stars is the premium one, the one that you'll not see much of for free, and you'll be spending money on if you want a lot of them. But the two you'll be playing with are David, there he is, and Eve. Which one you choose doesn't matter. You can switch between them at any point, and you can actually obtain outfits for them, which gives you more stats, increasing your power, your control, and your impact, which again we'll look at shortly. So we're going to choose David for the time being. Okay, when you start out, you're a beginner. The game's going to reconnect now. You'll see a bit of this. These golf balls going across the screen. They are the bane of your life if you play in the World Championship online. Again, we'll probably touch on this in a later video, but disconnections can ruin your round, and it can be one of the most frustrating things about the game. It's reconnected there, everything's fine at the moment. Obviously I wouldn't care too much if it got disconnected on the screen, but if you're in the middle of a round, it's not good news. Right, so yeah, starting out, you're a beginner. Now if we go into career mode, we see you're 0% completed at the moment. I've created this game really for the purposes of this video, but as you see, we're in the beginner role there. We've got junior, amateur, semi-professional and professional. Once you've finished the professional, you're then probably ready to go online. Although you can go online, I think, well, at any point really you can go online and do one-on-one games. Anyway, if we go back at the moment, we're a beginner. 0% complete. As you level up, you're going to increase your stats as you move through the single player career. The stats are going to enable you, as I said before, to hit the ball further, more control, and you'll also increase your GP. As you'll see at the top here, we have GP and stars. So here's your stars, and this is the amount of money you spend on them in dollars. GP, again, you can buy. I certainly wouldn't recommend anyone spend any money on GP because it's quite freely available in the game if you've got a bit of patience. When you first starting out, hearts are the biggest factor to any new player of the game because really they dictate how many holes you can play. In general, for the single player game, you're going to spend 5 hearts for every 3 holes you play. And bearing in mind your hearts max out at 20, as we see here, I've currently got 15. And there's 6 minutes, 17, 16 going until I get one more heart. You're going to spend a lot of time waiting for the hearts to replenish. There's ways to remove the wait time. As you probably guessed, that's probably going to cost you some money. Well, no, probably about it. It is going to cost money. Okay, if we go into the locker room, we start out with nothing. We can see the items on the left here: clubs, club covers, bags, tees, balls. Tees and balls you class as consumables. You'll buy some tees, buy some balls, and you'll use them as you move through the game. The clubs, you can basically, like I say, a bag of clubs. You can power up. With nothing here to show you at the moment. You've got a club bag again that can be powered up, and club covers. Each one of those can increase your stats, and they come in different classes. So you've got your standard, the ones you'll see a lot of, regular, and then you move to advanced, then to rare, unique, and then legendary. Legendary being the best. You're not going to see legendary items earlier on in the game. You might get the odd unique 1 or 2 popping in if you're lucky. They can be obtained in 3 ways. Early on in the game, you can win clubs and bags on a couple of missions by achieving tasks in the game. But after that, it's going to be at the end of the round, you can get a card spin depending on how many holes you've played. That happens more often if you're a VIP member, which we'll look at later. When you've completed a certain amount of holes, that's when you get the card spin. The best items you're going to get from the lucky box and the premium box and the VIP box. So as we see here, lucky box I wouldn't bother with, to be honest. They had a recent promotion where it became a bit better for a short period of time, but in general you could spend days throwing GP at 2,000 a piece in there and get very little worthwhile out of it. It'll show you the items you can achieve here, but the chances of you getting a legendary item are minimal. There are some outfits which are desirable, but again, the chances of getting them are minimal, and what you'll more than likely end up will be an advanced bag, advanced clubs, balls, tees, which you can obtain elsewhere. The premium box is a little bit better. The items you get in here, a few more legendary items, and the legendary items there are better. You can see the starting stats on the left, and then the stats upon power up on the right. Those stats are going to cost you some money to get if you want them. And then there is also the VIP box, the very best items. They're the best clubs in the game, Optimus R, and the best bag in the game. And there are other items in here too, a lot of legendary ones. Again, in my experience, I mean, it's pot luck. You're probably going to end up with one of these not so desirable items. Okay, so what we'll do, get started with a quick game. This guy hasn't picked up a club yet, so we're going to go into the career mode, and everything else is locked. The only choice we've got is the tutorial to Golfstar. It really is a beautiful game on iOS and Android. It's, well, judge it for yourself. If you've not played it before, download it and have a look. It's free, you know. If you don't like it, you don't have to play it. Maximum driving distance at the moment, 185 yards. As you move through the game, I think my main character can currently drive it, up to 450, 500 yards, depending on the wind, depending on where it lands. So a hole like this, you would be trying to get a hole in one rather than trying to hit a decent approach shot. You see the different items you could potentially get: perfect zone drinks, impact drinks, which can increase the likelihood of you getting a good shot really. Skill shots, all of these currently locked, and you'll be unlocking those as the game goes on. So we don't have any choice at the moment really, we're just going to hit the ball. So aim it in the middle of the fairway, big swing, you tap it at the top end and you tap it at the bottom end. The closer you get to that impact line, the more accurate your shot's going to be. Pretty basic and pretty standard when you look at other golf games. And what is slightly different, it took me a while to work out actually, is if you start your swing off, you don't have to hit it that time. You can, if you have a go at it and you miss your power like that, you don't have to hit your limit. You can take another try at it. You can take as many tries as you like at it. The only caveat to that, if you're playing online, you do get a time limit on your shots. 2 or 3 minutes per hole, and if you're spending ages trying to hit the line, then you'll find you'll time out and you'll get given an automatic bogey, double bogey. Not good. Okay, so I'm taking a pitching wedge into the hole. It's slightly lower than me, 7.2 foot down, so that means I'm going to aim a little bit back. The wind's behind me a little bit, again I'll aim a little bit back. So I'm really going to go for a full wedge. So if I just hit it at max, try and stop it on the line. You'll not see me stopping it on the line very often on this video, mostly because I'm not that good, but also because when I'm videoing it, the software I'm using does make the bar very jerky and very difficult to stop on line. So we've now got a putt. Putting is a little bit easier than your standard shot because you've only got one thing to hit. Rather than hit your power and then hit your impact, all you do with a putt is you choose your distance. That red line indicates where the hole is. So you might think, great, I'll just hit it on that red line. A lot of the time that's the case. But what you've also got to bear in mind, if you look at the top of the screen, you'll see the distance from the hole, 3.7 yards. You'll also see that 0.01 feet with a down pointing arrow. What that means is the ball is below us. So if we were to hit it slightly below that red line, it would still make the hole because it's downhill. General with putting, you want to hit it a little bit past the hole because it takes a little bit of a break out of it. If you imagine if you're hitting up the hill on an elevation, if you're hitting it really hard, it's not going to turn so much. There's a lot of kind of calculations like that come into Golfstar, and putting can get quite complicated. The greens you see as a junior are pretty benign, pretty flat, but some of the courses you play have undulous greens and really, really tricky putts. Okay, so actually I'm not sure what that, I've got a putting guide with a little kind of infinite symbol beside it. I'm not sure that means I've got infinite putting guides. This is a brand new account, so I'm not going to use a putting guide for now anyway. We might look at it in a bit. So we can see the ball's moving slightly right to left. It's slightly downhill, so I'm going to aim just to the left of the cup, and I'm going to hit it just over the power mark, and all being well that should drop in the hole. Here we go. And there she goes. So first hole, first birdie, good start. I'll play the 3 holes that the introduction gives us, and then we'll have a look at what happens after your round as far as leveling up stats. I think you might get some items after your first round. We'll find out shortly. Okay, so similar to the last one, we'll see this one's actually slightly uphill. In general, for every 3 feet uphill, I would tend to add 1 yard. A dot on the green, like that, amounts to 1 yard, but also you've now got your indicator. You never used to have the point, so you just have 184 yards, 185 yards, and now you see 184.12345, so it makes it a little bit more accurate. Also bear in mind the ball's going to bounce forwards. How much it bounces forwards depends on your shot. I'm taking a 1 wood here, so it's going to bounce forward quite a lot. If I was taking a sand wedge or a pitching wedge in, it's going to stop pretty much dead. You've got a little bit of a wind behind, nothing really to worry about. So what I'm going to do, I think with the 1 wood, it's probably going to roll on about, let's see, 15 yards, something like that. It's going to come in slightly from the right. It is also, although my target point is pointing at the front of the green, that's where it would end up with the 1 wood. It's probably going to pitch somewhere out here, which is going to take a lot of the pace off it. So you've got to tie in the fact that, okay, it's going to roll on. If it was to land on the green here, it'd probably go flying off the back. If it was going to land too far in front of the green here, it's going to end up short. So the terrain we're not really worrying too much about. The wind is nothing to worry about. So I'm thinking, okay, if I go about 14 yards back from the pin, it shouldn't be too far away. Could be wrong. Let's find out. So I'm going to take my shot, put it a little bit under. I'm not too worried about it for the purposes of this. Let's see where it ends up. Well short. If I'd hit that on the line, it probably would have got another 4 yards forward, but it would have given me quite a long putt. If I was playing that shot as an experienced player with a few more stats, that 184 yards would be a pitching wedge. You know, starting out, it was a 1 wood. I was hitting it as hard as I could, pretty much. Okay, putt. Now this one is 0.9 feet above. There's lots of opinion on putting. I'll be honest with you, I'm not the best of putters. What I tend to do is for every 0.5 above the hole, I tend to add, if we're using a medium putter here, 1 notch on the grid. Just to show you, we have a short putter. That's as far as a short putter would take you, so even if I hit that at maximum, it's not even going to get halfway to the hole. The medium putter, again, with that slope, would probably not make it to the hole, actually. In fact, what I'm going to do is hit it short, just to kind of prove that. And then with the long putter, it's much further. As far as the notches on the grid go, I tend to allow, for a long putter, 1 notch on the grid would be basically equating for around about 1 foot above the hole. Medium putter, 1 notch I would say is about 0.5 below the hole. A short putter, each notch is around about 0.15. Or 0.1 is a lot easier to remember. You can hit it a bit hard sometimes if you use that. Okay, right, so what I'm going to do, just to prove this now, the flag is actually below the end of my zone there. So if I hit this maximum, you'd think, okay, that's going to go a bit past the hole. But because we've got 0.9 feet elevation to the hole, I think this is going to stop maybe 0.2, 0.3 short. It's also going to come down from the left a little bit. I'm hitting it quite hard, so if this was downhill, I might want to aim it right out here. Because it's uphill, I'm going to be hitting it much harder, and it's going to take a lot of the break out of it. So I believe something like that will get us close. Again, not the best putter in the world, so let's see what happens. Full blast, give it a whack. It'll not be far away, but I don't think it's going to have the legs to get all the way to the hole. I was wrong. Just made it, and very nearly went in. But as you saw, you tend to be, when you're putting, you're going to aim 1 or 2 feet past the hole. Just to make sure, because there's nothing worse than coming up a little bit short. Okay, so my character Golfstar Dan, again created especially for this video, is winning against Lucas, who must be pretty terrible. Okay, now this is a par 5. I'm assuming you know the rules of golf. There we go. Automatically go for a power shot, which my main character would obviously have. None of these shots are available, so the only thing I can do is just hit a standard drive, which will leave me well short. I'll have no chance of reaching the green. As you move through it, you'll find that a lot of, not a great impact, a lot of the greens are actually drivable from par 4s and even par 5s as you increase your stats. So you could probably, in fact you could, reach the green from here with a player with kind of good clubs and good stats. So you'd be looking at an albatross rather than, I think, especially with a shot like that last one, I'm going to be lucky to get a birdie here. Par's probably more likely. The impact zone, I'm not going to hit it this time, you'll see is very small. That comes from your stats, and we'll look at that again shortly. You can actually increase your stats to make that impact zone. You see the little red area around where the yellow arrow's pointing there, the impact zone. That's basically, well, it's very small. You can increase the size of that as you increase your stats. And you're going to want to do that because it's very difficult to hit it on the line, which I'm going to try and do now. Makes it harder, the fact that I'm videoing in, just about made it. Makes it harder because it gets very jerky whilst the video is running. But we're getting towards the hole, so a decent shot towards the pin, and we'll have a chance of a birdie. Okay, now looking at the angle of the green, it's 9 foot. I tend to move around for approach shots so we can see that elevation mark. If that goes up and down, you can see what kind of slope you've got. Now we've got nothing really. There's no slope to worry about, so we're not going to worry about the ball bouncing off to the left, bouncing up to the right when it hits the green. However, it is 9 feet below the hole. So if we move back a little bit to account for that, the wind's going to take it forward a little bit. Now in the bottom right, down by the golf ball, to the right of that, you can see a little up and down marker. Doesn't actually, can't actually press on it to show you it more closely or anything like that, but you'll see there's a little orange line, and it's indicating that it's actually 2 degrees up. What that means is the ball is actually sloped slightly on an upward slope. When it's on an upward slope, it means it's going to travel higher, and it's also going to roll less when it hits the green. Very minimal, 2 degrees. It's, you know, you wouldn't really worry too much about it, but you can see, especially when you're in a bunker, if you've got a really sloped shot, if it's really pointed, the elevation is really up, you'll find that the ball will land much shorter of the stated distance. So to be honest, there's a little bit going to the right there with the wind. Also that R1 just below the ball, that's indicating that the ball is actually on an angle slightly to the right, which means when you hit it, it's going to move to the right. So if I hit it aiming there, it's going to end up kind of over here somewhere. Factor in the wind and it's probably going to end up over here somewhere. So with that in mind, I'm going to aim it around about here. I'm going to come back a bit for that 9-foot elevation, a little bit for the wind, and that shouldn't be far away, provided I hit it on the line, and that is a big proviso at the moment. Let's see what happens. In the distance, right, so the first part, again, you can have as many tries of this as you like, and it is very tricky. I don't know if it shows up in the video, but this power bar is all over the place. Should this series become popular, manage the perfect shot, then I will probably invest in something which can take video without affecting the swing, because it's not really practical. Now, as you saw, I got a perfect shot there. Perfect shots are desirable. Number one, because the ball's going to go exactly where you aimed it. Number two, when you come to play online, you get extra points for them. When it comes down to a tiebreaker, if you tie with someone, then the points come into play, and the more perfect shots you've got, the more chance you've got of winning. It's a bit of a pay to win scenario, because you'll get situations where people use a perfect shot every shot, perfect zone drink every shot, which they essentially pay stars for, and it's a bit of a, well, you can get less skilled players winning by spending money, but that's the game, you know, it's to be expected, I guess. Okay, this putt, the green is particularly benign again, nothing happening at all here, to be honest. There's a very, very slight drift left to right, but that's not going to affect it at all. I'm just going to hit this very slightly over the red line. It's going to trickle in the hole. Let's watch it. There it goes. I would tend to hit it a bit harder than that. You'll very rarely get a putt that is so straight, that has so little deviation on the green. A lot of the time you'll want to, especially for shortish putts, just hit it fairly firmly at the hole to take that break out of it. And hopefully as we move through it, we'll see that type of putt. I'm sure that we will. Okay, so we finished 3 holes. Missed out on a birdie on the par 3. It was quite a tricky par 3, having to take a driver into it, but it's not bad. And a new record, considering it's the first time I've ever played. That doesn't really surprise me. The experience at the bottom, we're starting out at level 1. As we see here, it's using 5 hearts. I'm not sure why I've started out with 17 hearts, because I've never actually played a hole yet, but maybe I did something before, I'm not sure. Now, as it's telling us, the hearts are going to be consumed at the end of the round. I was already telling them that. Thanks for that. Okay. Now we'll see our experience in one round there has gone from level 1 almost all the way to level 2. My main character, which I'm sure we'll see at some point, is currently, I think it's just leveled up to level 83, and it's going to take, from playing all the time, 2, 3, 4 weeks to get up to the next level. So as you move through the levels, it gets harder to level up. Each time you level up, you'll get some stats. So if we go next, it's given us the chance to buy something. We've only got 30 stars. It wants us to give us 195 stars, and it's going to give us, well, unlimited hearts, level 1 to 30, which actually is quite desirable. But I'm not going to pay for it at the moment. Right. So also, as we'll see in the background, there's been a recent update. We've got a Christmas tree there. It changes, you know. At Easter, there might be an Easter bunny. In the summer, there'll be beaches and things. It's that sort of thing. Okay, right, it's given us 60 experience for completing a quest. And it's actually leveled us up with that extra 60 experience. So what it's saying here, it's actually put up our impact zone by 2. This P means power, how hard you hit it. I is impact zone. So that was that little red line we were looking at earlier. It will have increased the size of that, which is going to make shots easier from now on. Control hasn't changed, and stamina hasn't changed. Also, well, control, what that does is it gives you an area the ball will land in. The ball will land within that area. The bigger the control zone, the less accurate your shot's going to be. So if you increase that stat, you'll find the control zone becomes smaller. Stamina actually affects all of the others. So if you don't put any stats on the stamina, then you'll find that it's the other stats don't go as high as they would do, basically. So you want to try and keep a level with your stats, which again we'll look at some point. Okay, it's given us 3 impact drinks. That just makes the impact zone massive, so you can't really miss it. Okay, so we've completed our first task, the intro, and we've opened up this next one, which we're not going to do yet. And as you can see here, we can actually, if we come in at or under par one time, we're going to win a set of clubs. At the moment, that's going to be hugely desirable because we haven't got any clubs. I'm not sure how he's managing to hit the ball. Basic clubs you get, I presume. Okay, and there's a little gift thing flashing here. Reach level 10 and get the trial VIP membership. That's actually going to be worth looking at some point. So you can see the difference between standard and VIP play. Although I could show you on my account, which does have VIP. Okay, so I'm going to end that there for now, so it doesn't drag on too long. So basically we've looked at selecting a character, the basics of the game, kind of getting started, what the different things do, and a brief 3 holes round. Very basic. If you played the game before, completely pointless, but if you haven't, it might have been fairly valuable. I'll be back. We'll maybe run through the next couple of single player. What I might do is play a couple of the single player items, single player career games, to get this to a stage where we can look at stats and items. Maybe I'll go through it and get those clubs, so we can see the difference between having those clubs and not having them. That's all for now. I hope you've enjoyed. Again, if you're interested in seeing more, comment below. I'll see the views, so if nobody's watching it, I won't bother, but if people are, then you can expect more videos. Thanks.